Hi, everyone. My name is Erika Gutierrez, and I'm excited to share with you all the work that I've been doing this past year for my Capstone project, Understanding the Governance Structures of Fishing Cooperatives in Colima, Mexico. So this past year, I've actually spent the entire year in the state of Colima, Mexico. So I have it on this little map circled, and it's Mexico's smallest coastal state. And this also happens to be the state that my family is from. So I spent a lot of time throughout my life at this beach right here where I ate a lot of fish that was caught by the local fishermen. And a lot of these fishermen were also part of my family. And they were actually the local fishing cooperative. And so these fishing cooperatives, they're organizations that are formed by fishers who come together to gain access to larger markets. They jointly manage their resources. It enables them to share their equipment, pool their financial resources, and as well as support the food security within their community. So these fishing organizations, they're very powerful tools for these small-scale fishers. But these benefits aren't fully realized when there is a lack of effective organization. So these fishing cooperatives exist along a spectrum of organizational strength. So on one end, you'll have these highly organized cooperatives where members actively participate in decision-making processes, they share responsibilities, and they benefit from transparent governance. And so these cooperatives tend to foster trust, collaboration, and more sustainable practices. And then on the other end, you'll have more loosely organized cooperatives where decision-making might be centralized in the hands of one individual or a small group. And so in these cases, you'll have participation that is limited, low accountability, and sometimes you'll have members feeling excluded or distrustful. And so this variation in organizational strength does have consequences for how resources are managed, how benefits are distributed, and how resilient the fishing community is, especially when facing environmental and economic pressures. And so for this project, I'm collaborating with the Diagnóstico Nacional de las Organizaciones Pesqueras, which is a national project that's being done in Mexico that aims to enhance the sustainability of small-scale fisheries by developing a national program for the fishing organizations. And so these partners have already done like interviews and assessments of the self-governance of the fishing organizations all throughout Mexico, so along the coast, with the exception of this small area on the Pacific coast that's in that little red square. And that is actually where my work comes in, since my work will contribute to this national effort by gathering and analyzing the data on the fishing cooperatives in Colima, which is one of the states that they have yet to assess. So my project is going to be conducted, that was conducted in 3 parts. So in the first phase, I collected information on the landscape of the fishing cooperatives in Colima. In the second phase, I interviewed a subset of fishing cooperatives using an interview instrument that was developed by DNOP. And in the third phase, all of the findings and recommendations of my project were synthesized into shareable formats that were disseminated back to the cooperatives and to my partner, which is DNOP. And so during the first phase of my project, what I did is I compiled a metadata database on the fishing cooperatives in Colima. So this included information such as their names, their size, and their founding year. And so to gather this information, I engaged with researchers, fishers, and community members, which were very helpful when I was trying to locate these offices. And using this data, I was able to intentionally choose a sample of cooperatives to interview. And I selected them using factors like their size, their age, their location, and their situations, and how easy they were to access. And so in the end, I was able to find around 29 registered fishing cooperatives. And I did initially plan to interview around 1/3 of them. So that's around 10 of the cooperative. But because of challenges reaching them or scheduling interviews, I was actually only able to get interviews with fishers from 6 different cooperatives. So when I did start these interviews, um, the interview that I used covered a range of topics. So it covered topics such as the internal and external regulations, their administration and management, their social responsibility, their economic activities, and their conservation efforts. And reaching these cooperatives and scheduling these interviews wasn't really easy. Many of these cooperatives don't have public contact information, and many of the members are actually rarely present in their offices. Some of them don't have an office. So I did have to rely very heavily on information from the local residents, which was also an issue because sometimes they wouldn't give me the accurate information. So for example, they might say they meet twice a week when in reality they only meet once a month. And so that made it hard to find a time to meet with them or to just start getting in touch with them. And so I did spend a lot of time knocking on doors and asking around for any information that was available about these cooperatives. And fortunately, I did run into some cooperative members at times, so they would help me get in contact with their cooperative. And so once I did these interviews, I conducted a qualitative comparative analysis, or a QCA, which is a relatively new method for analyzing data. It's a great tool for working with small to medium-sized data sets, so it made it a good fit for my work. And it's especially useful when studying complex systems because it can handle situations where there isn't just one single cause for an outcome. And so instead, the QCA helps identify multiple pathways or combinations of conditions that can lead to a same result. So it allows us to figure out which conditions are necessary, so which ones must be present, and which ones are sufficient, so those that when present can produce an outcome by themselves. And so for this project, I was looking for the different combination of conditions that lead to a successful cooperative. And so successful cooperative would be the outcome that I was looking for. And in this case, we successful cooperative refers to whether or not the fishers are effectively organized. And to measure whether the cooperative is successful or not, we took into account their economic security, so whether or not they had the ability to access, manage, and save financial resources, their collective action, whether or not the cooperative works well as a group, resource management, whether or not the cooperative engages in efforts to conserve and manage natural resources, and their collaborative capacity, whether or not the cooperative can work with external entities on shared goals and projects. And so the conditions that we used for this analysis were based on Eleanor Ostrom's design principles. So these represent the characteristics that are often found in institutions with successful common pool resource management. So these are clearly defined boundaries, congruent rules, collective choice, monitoring, graduated sanctions, conflict resolution, recognition rights, nested enterprises. And only 6 of these 8 principles were used in this study, just because 2 of them had lower variation in the responses. So conflict resolution and recognition rights weren't used in this study. And so when you run this QCA, you'll get a table that's very similar to the one that's on the right side of this slide. So it lists the pathways that every cooperative is taking and identifies if the condition is present or not. So if you see a 0, that means that the condition was not present. And if you see a 1, it means that it was. And so from this table, you can see that monitoring and graduated sanctions were present in all of the cooperatives, and that nested enterprises, so this was really whether or not they were part of a federation, that was absent in all but one of the cooperatives. And so I was also able to identify which conditions were necessary in order for a cooperative to be successful. So if you look, there's this third column right here. And at the second row, this one has a 0, meaning that collective choice was not present in this specific cooperative. And it also turns out that it's the only cooperative that did not have the outcome present. So then you'll see that collective choice was a necessary condition for a successful cooperative. And so on the right, I also just included a spider chart of the average values for each of the conditions. So you can see the average performance of Colima's cooperatives in each area. So with those pathways, I was able to simplify them even further. And you'll get two simplified pathways for a successful cooperative. And so this first one, you'll have this first pathway cooperatives could take has clear boundaries, congruent rules, collective choice, monitoring, and graduated sanctions. And then in the second pathway, there's an absence in congruent rules and nested enterprises, but collective choice, monitoring, and graduated sanctions is present in the cooperatives. And so using this information, I was able to synthesize all the results into different formats to share with my project partner, as well with the fishing cooperatives. So as an example, for each cooperative that I interviewed, I created a scorecard that's similar to the one that's shown on this slide that highlights the performance compared to other cooperatives in the region. And this also includes recommendations to help improve in areas that might need more attention. And so the hope is that the cooperatives will reflect on this feedback and apply or adapt recommendations in a way to enhance their collective action and contribute to the long-term sustainability of their fisheries. And so understanding why fishers organize and how their governance structures function is rarely emphasized in fisheries management, but it does play a crucial role in promoting sustainable resource use. And so throughout this project, I did hope to provide insights into the governance structures of the fishing cooperatives in Colima, strengthen their capacity for collective action, and as well as contribute to DNOP's broader efforts to support the sustainability of small-scale fisheries. And while this project is centered on small-scale fishing cooperatives, it can also offer broader insights into how organizations manage shared resources and to navigate internal governance, which is applicable to a wide range of community-based organizations that are addressing sustainability challenges across different sectors. And so this project has been an incredibly rewarding experience for me. It's helped me develop a broad set of new skills, from conducting fieldwork to applying new research methods. And I was continuously challenged and encouraged to grow, especially since this was my first time doing fieldwork. I usually always just stay in a computer and work through on online platforms. So it was a really great experience. And I would say that one of the biggest areas that I've grown was in communication, particularly in engaging with local communities and adapting to unexpected situations. And so, yeah, so these experiences deeply inspired me, and I really do want to continue building on what I've learned. And I do plan to continue working with these fishing cooperatives in Colima beyond this project. And I'd also like to take a moment to acknowledge everyone who has supported me throughout this project. My advisor, Elena Finkbeiner, who's been absolutely amazing, who helped me uh, and guided me while I navigate this project and these new experiences. To my partner mentor, Javier Basurto, who gave really valuable feedback and helped me strengthen my work. To my family, who I probably would not have been able to do this project without them, who would wake up really early and drive me all around the state of Colima so that I could talk with these fishing cooperatives. To my cohort, who's been really great throughout these 2 years, giving feedback on my project as well, and to Anne, Sarah, and Holly for all of the work that they do for the CSP program. And so that is all. Thank you for listening. We'll take questions.